Okay, welcome back to Dakota Planet Student Spotlight, episode 62. You are?
I am.
You are.
Mr. McLeod.
Hi. Welcome to Student Spotlight.
Thank you.
So what's it like, so as people that do not know, what do you do?
I am an English 12 teacher and I teach writing for publication.
So this is your first year, right? Teaching writing for publication?
This is my first year teaching writing for publication by myself.
So what are some like unexpected things that you came across, or some expected things that you came across while teaching the class?
Well, early on, it was pretty clear that last year and the couple previous years with Sarver teaching it, going from Sarver's style to my style, it was going to be a stark transition for some of the students because we are just different personalities. And when I taught the class with her, we both had sections of it, I don't know, 3 years ago. And so we kind of would combine our classes most of the time and do team teaching. It was kind of like that good cop, bad cop thing. Guess which one I was? You guessed it. I knew you could get there. And so with the balance of personalities, that worked really well. And then Sarver, had the class by herself for that bit, and she didn't really have room in her schedule anymore, so then it kind of fell on me because I actually had experience with it. And I like it. I like it a lot. This is an interesting class because it's all options. Like, you're doing creative writing. Well, actually, now I'm not going to do creative writing. You're doing dance stuff, history of dance, and we're dealing with all kinds of different students, and we're doing some creative writing, and then you're going into some of your personal interests, and so it keeps things fresh for me every week. Only frustration with it was, when people talk too much, and my brain can't handle it.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they're working or not. And that lack of that control issue kind of took over for me. Like, I wanted to micromanage, but I know it's bad to micromanage. Mm-hmm. So you have to find a balance, and I think I got closer to where I need to be.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you're also an English 12 teacher. Mm-hmm. So what do you enjoy about teaching English?
So English, the reading and the writing stuff is, how do I explain that? So when I was in high school, I think it was 10th grade, I had just an absolutely miserable experience in English. I had a teacher who had no interest in really associating with the students, would not actually read any of the writing, and so I got no feedback whatsoever.
Like, they cared more about the curriculum than the students type of deal?
They just got through the days, is basically it. And so it was like the first time I ever got a C on a paper when I was in that class. I was like, what am I doing wrong here? And it was when I asked her about some of the things on her rubric that she marked me down on, she didn't really know what she was talking about because it revealed that she hadn't actually read my paper. She just put me in a clump with kids that I associated with, which is not a fair way to judge anybody. Mm-hmm. And so fast forward, going through the rigmarole of that and having to actually learn how to stand up for myself and fight for being seen, in a way, and thankfully having support from my parents on that. It was the first time my dad ever took my side in an argument with a teacher. It was kind of refreshing. Usually he's just like, no, the teacher's right, you're wrong. Anyway.
I had that happen once, and it's really weird when it does, because I never get into disagreements with teachers or anything, but like when your parents take your side, you're like, oh, this is real. It's not, I'm not making it up.
It's nice to get validation on what you're thinking and feeling. But fast forward to the next year, and I'm in a class with a very different personality, a guy who he was very good at polarizing students. Like, you either loved him, and he was mean, he was crazy. He had a poster on his wall that students made him saying that Foosh was his name, Foosh is mean, old, and ugly. Students made that for him, and he proudly displayed that. Loved it, because that was part of his demeanor. And while I can sometimes be the mean, and I can be pretty ugly. I'm not that old yet, but I'm getting there. His way of teaching was to have a great command over the content and understanding of why and the purpose behind it, and making it as clear as it could, but really calling people out on things that didn't work. And he balanced that with something that is very difficult to do, and I've a couple times in my career been able to do it, is just give constant feedback. And there were some papers that I wrote for him. He was the kind of teacher you all would have loved it, I'm sure. Every week he would assign an essay. Every week. Boom, boom, boom. And you in AP land, you're like, yeah, we know what that looks like.
Yeah.
But they were just 1-page essays every single week for the entire year. And you would boom, 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 knock those out, and he'd give you the feedback. And it would just be bleeding red all over it, even if you felt you did well. Like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? And so he'd say, rewrite it.
That sounds like
And
it
I'd go
would take
through
forever to grade it too.
He was a maniac. He told me that he would get up at about 4 a.m, grade until school, and that was the only time that he graded. And then he would try and knock out some papers during the day, but he would carry a stack of papers around with him all the time, this tall.
The commitment.
That's crazy.
But it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's reasonable to ask of teachers. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
Not without completely ignoring my children and wife. That would be
Insane.
Yeah.
is a good word. But man, did it click for me. Now, of course, you got to balance that with so many students saw that and just thought, this is too much work. I don't want to do this. Blah, 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 blah. But they didn't start seeing the value in it.
Yes.
And then Hamlet rolled around, and we read through that. And I saw so much of my internal and external conflicts in that play. No, not the stuff with mom and uncle and the that stuff.
Yeah.
No, not that. Thankfully. But the doubt, the confidence, the earning something versus being entitled to it. I saw myself in that, and ended up doing a independent study with him the next year, and just understood that reading opened up doors that I didn't know existed. And he would give me all kinds of things that I never would have picked up on my own, things that he'd never read, and we'd read them together, and we'd figure it out, and it clicked. And so my general perspective with it, and this is a very long answer to the question.
Yeah.
I'm well over the mark. I was going to go short today. Oh, okay, anyway. There's an element of all of that in my purpose for doing what I do, to open doors, to look at possibilities and consider them.
Yeah. Well, as you said, we are over the mark, but a tradition we like to usually do at the end of every Student Spotlight is, what piece of advice do you have for anyone watching, really?
All right, so I'll gear this towards seniors because we got a week. Keep the doors open.
Makes
Right,
sense.
seniors?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you'll get there too. Keep the doors
I'll get
open.
there next year. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for this amazing interview.
Thanks for having
Thank
me.
you.
I'm honored.